Psychotechnologies
Technologies
Live.
Live.
Welcome to another episode of Psychotechnologies Live.
What did we just call it? What number did we say?
55.
55. I'm unnecessarily excited about 55 as a number. I feel like I just did a pat on the back for us kind of making it. You do too, obviously. Like we made it to 55 episodes.
Yeah, good job to us.
Good
job to us. Most don't make it this far.
Yes. Of course.
But let's say, Elliot, I got a question for you. What if we really wanted to bring it out and have the whole world adopt psychotech? What would the progression look like? Would there be a progression, or is it just sort of everything?
Right. Great question. I've been thinking about this for quite a long time because I'm a guy who has many ideas, and I've also studied historical ideas. I look at maybe NVC or systems thinking or Alexander technique, or I can just keep listing off things that have had to grow. Various management philosophies like Scrum method or waterfall or whatever. There's a lot of these agile.
Agile.
People
I was a Scrum master for a while. Actually.
Right. But let's say I'm talking to Daniel, or we're developing Psychotechnologies. It's an idea. And we're we gotta get this out in the world. Right. That's the thing. Right. Gotta get more people into psychotech as a thing. I feel like there's maybe we got to talk about this in phases, and the first phase is sort of coming up with the idea.
Okay, so phase one, what is the idea?
Well, we call it let's say it was agile. Let's say it was non-naive trust dance. Let's say it was NVC, but NVC didn't even have the name right in the beginning. Let's say it was let me pick one of my ideas. Right. So I have this idea that your psyche is like a stack. I say this a few times, chronological stack. And in that sense, we can organize your psyche into the chronology of your life and when screwed up things happened in your past. And therefore we can address it in a sequential manner. And we can be well, you had some messed up teenage years because something was happening in your life, you changed schools. And so for your messed up teenage years, we need to address that with therapy until you feel better about it. Actually, you also had some weird around about the age of 5 because a grandparent passed away. Okay, we're just going to check that and do a different type of therapy there. This is great. This gives us some sort of framework to work. So I just came up with this idea. It floated around my head. I should ignore it for now because ideas are cheap. But what I should do, the next step is testing it in the world. Right?
Okay, so you got this idea, and now you want to test it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 1 second. Yeah. So then you have to take your idea to people. You need to butt your head against I think I'd call it the meeting yourself in the marketplace. Well, your idea meeting itself in the marketplace. You need to tell people, or if it's a therapeutic idea, which this one almost is, what are the consequences of this idea, and making it known to the world and testing it. Does it actually help people to tell them, or do people, when you explain your idea, do people get bogged down in the well, actually I think it's more like this, and so you don't do therapy because you get too busy in those conversations. So there's something about the idea, we got to kind of hone it, got to put it through a trial by fire and hone it.
So I think in startup world that's called verifying. Right. So you have an idea and you want to verify it. So you take it out into the marketplace, the real world, and you try to find some customers that are going to benefit from it.
Right.
And see, are they actually benefiting, or do people actually want this?
Right. That's right. So you I feel like this stage is about you and getting better at you explaining the idea to people. You're training yourself, be it in selling your idea or in using your idea, or proving, it's a proof to yourself, at least, even if you are 100% fully backing your own idea. Like this stage is about training yourself so that like someone comes along and is like, well, actually my psyche is a bit twisted, or I have brain damage. I was got a concussion. I was in a car accident, so my psyche isn't really well organized. Does this idea still fit? Because I'm not chronological, I'm a bit all over the place.
Right.
And so I need to whack this idea on real world problems until I get the hang of like, yes, it does seem to fit for that as well. You still got a chronology. It's out of order. So we need to help you like reorder it. Like, great. It actually works better for that rather than worse. Like, great. Now I know that my idea is really powerful because I'm like building confidence that this idea will work for anyone.
Right. So like the versatility of the idea, the number of use cases increases.
Yes.
So it's not just like the low hanging fruit, or not just like some guy you met. That it's like this idea is applicable to. It's got like scale. It's got legs, where it can be applicable to multiple use cases.
Right. Totally. So let's say I've got to the point where I'm like, look, I've talked to about 50 people and spent an hour on it with each of them, and they're like, hey, but you've got a good idea, and I'm like, I do have a good idea. Now what do I do? Well, hopefully I've written it down, but at some point I need to like not just use the idea with people, but figure out how to teach other people the idea. Right? I need them to have.
Is that the next step? Is to teach other people to use it, or is it to like, I guess, do it a million times, or is there like a step in between?
So I think of this more of as a like gray, like you go from this one to that one, you're sort of plodding along, and you'll be starting to teach even the first person you ever talk to about it. You'll be starting to teach them how to use it, but you might not have honed your teaching method. You might know how to use it before you know how to teach it to other people.
Right.
So this is the like teach it to other people step.
Okay, so use it a bunch and then teach it to other people. I guess that's like scaling upwards.
Yes.
Like, because you don't want to just have an idea like there's an idea, like you could have an idea, but like you're the only one that knows how to use it, and then that idea is not really scalable past you. So you want that idea to move from like you being an expert to actually it's a tool that other people can also use.
Right. Other people can use it, and you can also train them to use it. So then at this scale, we're still kind of one-to-one. Right. I'm still teaching one person at a time, and I want to scale up to like I'm teaching a whole room full of people to use the idea.
Right.
Or I'm like running a class for a whole room. So two scales. One is running a class where I get like I get other people to use the idea, and I'm running a class where I get other people to learn the idea so they can figure out how they're going to use it. Like it's slightly different, but they're like the whole room scale.
Right. So there's like teaching one-on-one, and then there's teaching, I guess, maybe small groups, large groups, and then auditoriums or YouTube channels. Either.
Right. At some point, I've become the psyche's a stack guy. I'm that guy. Okay. Like around about there's like this transition to like I'm Elliot with the idea to I'm the psyche stack guy. I'm the stack guy. You'll know like because I've started making YouTube videos, and like not only am I trying to do classrooms, but I'm also trying to like educate the masses. Right. Articles, like I've
writing a book.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. So around here is the like I've tested it on a bunch of individuals. It's going well. I've taught it to a couple of classrooms, and I'm like, you know what my classroom needs? It really needs a book, like a syllabus, a book that people can go like, oh yeah, I've read the book, and now I'm like, oh, like the book is alongside the class, and like we published the book.
Right. So there's various different formats, various different course formats that it could take where you're disseminating knowledge on a large scale without you even having to be there. So like you could be asleep and someone's taking your course or watching your stuff or doing like a lot of science is like that, right? Like if you go to university and learn biology, learn evolution, and Charles Darwin isn't even alive.
Right. And each of these steps is a verification. Like if at some point it's a cool idea on the one-to-one, but it doesn't scale, like I can't teach it to a whole room at once, then either there's a problem with me or a problem with the idea, that it just doesn't seem to hone itself to the size. And like if I make videos but they don't spread, like, oh, maybe the idea wasn't so good, I should pick a new idea and start again. And At this point, I probably have more than one idea, but okay. So publishing scale, right? We're getting books, videos, audio, diagrams. We're getting like memes, maybe. Go for memes.
Yeah, memes are good.
Even like the idea of straw man and steel man. I saw that idea grow. Like that's a rationality community idea. It didn't exist before the rationality community, and now it's common collective knowledge, nearly collective knowledge. Most intellectuals, I'd say, would know the idea and have some sort of like, not necessarily know how to do it, but have heard the phrases.
Yeah. I also.
So that's an idea.
Yeah. Like people thought I was like weird at the beginning. And then steel man, straw man, I think is old, but steel man is the rationality one.
Straw man was not very common as well. It's older, but it wasn't particularly well known, and now they are both well known.
I think it was like philosophy, like known in philosophy.
I don't know where it started, so I can't.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think straw man was used. If I remember correctly, I learned about straw man before the rationality. Like it was in philosophy in school. But then the steel man that's a very like rationalist or seafarer.
That was definitely the steel man added on was definitely a rationality community phenomenon.
And then double crux was a seafarer thing, I think.
Right.
So I'm still waiting for that to switch to show up in mainstream.
I don't think double crux is just a parts work method. And I've started. There's internal family systems is one label, and then parts work is another label for a similar phenomenon.
Yeah.
And parts work has been going on for a long time as well.
Well, internal double crux would be parts work, but the regular double crux is just like, where is it that what is it that if it was different we would agree? And then we try to find like the crux. And like sometimes it's one crux that we're like, the world is this way, and then that would flip us. Like if we can get the truth to that statement, then we would be on the same page. And sometimes it's actually like two different things for different people. Like for me, if this was different, then I'd be agree with you, and for you, if that was different, you'd agree with me.
Right. Okay. So we're getting to the publishing one, right? We're starting to publish media. At some point, like I am hopefully running a little organization, or I'm running a like regular classes in teaching my idea. And I need to step up from here. So what I need is like a cohort of trainers, right? This is the cohort of like teacher training that I can be like.
Right. So you're teaching it to individuals, and then those individuals can become like your team.
Right.
So you kind of skip
the
like
internal team, and there's the like you are now officially certified in the Psyche Stack method, and you go out into the world and use it as a technique. And
I want to be certified in this. Right. You're making me excited about it. The Psyche Stack method.
Right.
I like it.
Well, so the Psyche Stack method may be the name, but the nuance of how to use it, well, you've got to do the whole teacher training to really get that, to make it applicable to your life and other people's life, and to like deeply through the roots of your timeline in order to embody what it is to be a full human. Like this is my sales pitch on teacher training right here.
Oh man, yeah, you are turning me onto this. I'm very excited about this. When can I sign up?
I mean, this progression applies to like I've invented a new school of yoga. This progression applies to like it's kind of pyramid schemey, but like if it's a good idea, it should hopefully sell itself as well.
Yeah, it's shaped like a pyramid, but it's not really. Because you're teaching a person a skill, and they go out and use the skill.
Right. Okay. So we're at teacher training. How do you go from there? Do you have next guess?
So teach teachers. That teach teachers teachers. Teach teachers teaching teachers.
Like some sort of like master program that can also teach teachers. That's possible.
Yeah. So if you're the only guy that can certify, you kind of you're very like you're the bottleneck.
Right.
But if you have this demand where people want to do more and there's not enough teachers, then you need to teach people how to teach.
Mm-hmm. There are like trainer training, like generic, like. But I'd say at this point, you're probably getting big enough. You also need to start interfacing with the existing education system.
So you'd want to be recognized by I guess then you do a thing again. So you want to get recognized by whatever system is going to be closest to you. So for this would probably be something like psychotherapy.
Right.
So if you can get recognized as
the
a
official body of medicine, if you're a new medical procedure, you want to be recognized by doctors or by, I mean, medical's a bit difficult but like you want to be certified by the Board of Accounting if you're an accountant and it's a new accounting method.
The truth is you could also probably go this way as well. Like if you develop a modality that goes well, you probably don't even need to teach. Like you probably could just show up at a school and then teach there.
Right. If you are, that's what I mean by recognition. So I call this one recognition of the system, by the system. Right. So you can get recognition by being paid to work in an institution, and then, you know, clearly on your website you can publish, you know, faculty, staff of university, of whichever university. Like you can, you know, your idea is part of the canon, the regular canon of what is being taught to students in the field. That's a recognition. And then hopefully if you're taught enough teachers, they're also teaching it in other institutions, and like it's basically common knowledge. Like at this point we're nearly the groundwork of like collective knowledge. Everyone knows that. People on the street are like, where should I go for therapy? Oh, obviously I need to like look at Psyche Stack as a model and then use that to direct me on which type of therapy I want to use.
And I don't know, like even people don't even know like the difference between like CBT, DBT, right? Like I think that's more like a professional. Like they would say, oh, I need to go to mental healthcare practitioner, and then the mental healthcare practitioner would, you know, maybe have a book or so they don't really do that, but they should. But they don't.
So I mean, there is actually a fork here. One is to like get recognition by the system, and the other is to become the system. Like start the school of philosophy of education and like rival an existing education system.
Yeah, this is like a game B view, I guess.
Well, you also like, if I think of Alexander technique, it never fully like his method is great. I don't think he ever joined a system. He kind of like became big enough, and now he's passed away obviously, and then he's probably taught in therapeutic schools, but not. It's kind of a funny method. It's kind of a cross between spirituality and holding space and therapy and physical movement. And so, but he became big enough that you can just be an Alexander technique practitioner without the rest of your repertoire, and you can like make money off that as a practitioner. But we're at this scale now that like it's nearly common knowledge, public knowledge. You've got, as you get recognition by the system, you're like, you're about as big as you can get. At this point, maybe you're running teacher trainings, maybe you're running courses like intensives, maybe you've got multiple books, you're a public speaker because you're a professional speaker on your topic. You're kind of, and you're a professor, or you're some sort of published in academia as well.
I think the biggest is insurance will pay for your treatment.
Right. Well, you need recognition by the system, and then possibly someone to like do a double-blind sort of placebo-controlled study on your idea or on your system, and then you're off. Yeah. You're like, insurance is like, yes, this one is better than the not this
then
one.
You're the man that the next generation is trying to overthrow.
So that's kind of like, I think that's the top of and then you're the world-renowned expert, and you're financially set for life because you have done so well and taken your idea and changed the course of humanity with the brilliance of your idea. Yeah. Thank you. But that's that's a progression. So if you're like, man,
is this what you're after?
Oh my god, it's the progression, trading the trading. Anyway, join my pyramid scheme. No, you know, so Daniel, if you invent the next like apple snacks, some sort of like puff dried apple thing, and you're like, we need to get this out to the world, this is kind of the progression you need to go through to get everyone on board with this is a healthy food, this is a good food. This is
different industries, but yeah, I guess.
But you still gotta like scale up somehow.
I actually did have this idea for a snack. I think the person who figures out how to make fiber taste good is going to be very rich.
Just the like Lamos, Metamucil, or
No, just like anything, like
husk fiber.
yeah, like in nutrition, you get like
A lot of the
fats.
time, it's kind of flavorless.
Yeah, fiber doesn't taste great, and it could taste like cardboard. Like vegetables, like that stuff that like sticks together. It doesn't taste good. But like if you could figure out how to make a snack out of fiber that was just like fiber, like 90% fiber, which means it would have almost no calories and would be fine to eat, like it's just roughage. If you could figure out how to make that taste good, it would you would dominate the market.
That's interesting. So there are like biscuit type, like flat cracker.
Yeah, those are still carbs. Like they're more
Some
fibrous, but
I think
they're
there's
still
some
carbon.
brands that go quite on the heavy on the carb side. I wonder if you could like puff them up into like a
Yeah,
equivalent.
puff is an awesome technique because like it's air, and air is like free food.
Yes. Yes. I was talking to someone yesterday and they asked me like, when you lose weight, where do you think it goes? How does the weight come out of your body?
Oh, I know this one already.
Yeah. Yeah,
You breathe it out.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I mean, that's where the mass goes. That's where the mass goes. The energy gets converted to heat, and the mass gets breathed out.
Right. So it's kind of interesting that the whole weight loss thing, like the weight leaves when you breathe out.
Yeah.
Remarkable. I think most of the incoming weight is also water, more than food is water, but then we breathe it out to get rid of it. Like to make.
Yeah, well, we pee. I think water is mostly pee. You mostly you mostly get rid of the fat is really the question, right? Because like the fiber, you poop it out, and then the water you usually like pee it out or you sweat it out. And you do lose some like through your skin, but yeah, like the actual like fat conversion, like if you're looking at that, it's that the mass, like the particles, leave through breathing. It's crazy.
Yeah, wild. Like, should I think differently about weight loss strategy because I now know
I don't
this?
think so.
Probably not. I don't think so. It didn't matter before. It's not going to matter now.
I don't think it matters at all for weight loss, but I think it's really cool to know. The other one is trees. Like, where does trees get their mass from?
Yes.
It's about half water and half air.
Right. Well, it's not from the soil because otherwise there'd be a big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
When a tree like sucks up nutrients, it doesn't like end up buried.
Yeah, it's like I think it's less than a percentage it gets from
Well, the same goes for like so food ratios when you are like when you're feeding a cow, right? How much grass makes a kilo of steak?
I think the energy, if I remember, is 10-1.
Right. That's right. That's sort of the commonly quoted numbers. I'm sure it's a little bit more variable than that.
I don't know if that's accurate, but I think that's what they say.
So that's with a cow, and then with a fish.
I would assume it's the same.
No, it depends how big they are, technically. But from really small to like plate sized, you get a like 1.5 to 1.
Oh.
Like it's actually something like 1.5 to 1. So you feed them 1.5 kilograms of.
Well, it's energy. I think you measured it, right?
Well, but you feed them 1.5 kilograms of fish meal, and you get 1 kilo of fish. Sort of roughly, obviously not all in the same day, blah, blah, blah. Averaged across the population.
Yeah.
You've got a fish farm, and like, yeah, that's kind of how you expect it.
Cool.
What about for, I think it was like krill or algae?
Crickets? Oh.
Crickets are probably a good example.
Yeah, crickets I think are much more efficient.
Yes. But why? How is it that you can do like crickets are like 1 to 10? Like you feed them 1 kilo and you get 10 kilos of cricket.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
You can't get more mass. You can technically get more energy because most of the energy in like grass is undigestible to humans. So like if you take grass, like if you ate grass, you would get less energy than if you fed it to a cow and ate it and ate the cow. And it's not that you're not creating more energy like thermodynamically, you're creating more accessible calories.
Okay, crickets are 1.5 to 1.
But there's no, I don't believe that you can create mass eating.
I didn't say you can create mass. I said the food conversion ratio. So fish are 1.1 to 1 ish. Google says on the quick
1.1 to 1.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So better than crickets apparently, or I don't know. This is like bad sources. It's weird googling it, but I think it was like krill. 0.68. I think. No, that's protein. It might even be 1 to 2. But again, how is that possible?
1 to 2.
Yeah.
So you get twice as much volume from eating?
Yeah.
Is it like water weight?
Yeah.
Like water weight?
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
Water weight. The
water weight one is bullshit. Like I hate when people do that. the one that I used like back in the day, the vegans kept saying lentil has more protein than per pound than meat.
Right, but that's dry protein weight.
It's technically true. Dry lentils have more protein than wet meat.
Right.
Per gram.
Wet meat has a third of its weight protein because a bunch of it's water.
Yeah, because it's 2/3 water. But like if you dried out the meat, like it's got more, or if you actually like cook the lentils, it's got less. It's like it's like one of those like it's like fine as a trick question. Like I'm not offended as a trick question.
Trick question. We played with the data to make it look like we were right.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you're doing trick questions or you're doing like, oh, how well do you understand like physics? Like that's fine, but like people use it in arguments, and I think it's not cool.
Yes. Yeah, I think the protein weight I think is actually really interesting because often when talking about protein need, we talk in dry weight, but then most protein sources are wet. It's really So you tell people they need 100 grams of protein a day, they're like, oh yeah, I eat 1 steak a day.
Yeah, like you can't eat 100 grams of steak.
Well,
you can
100 grams of that's what I mean, right? Wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can eat 100
grams of steak-ish in order to get 100 grams of dry protein weight.
Yeah.
It's a lot of protein. I mean, I'm interested in this lately because it feels like a lot, like it feels difficult to get if you take the number of like 1.5 grams per kilo of body weight, which is what's that in American? It's like
we use pounds for body weight as well in Canada.
What's the small unit, like grams per pound? Or?
Yeah, we use grams.
You're Canada.
We're like weird. We're really weird here.
Okay.
Which I find out is the government's fault. We used to be normal.
Okay, let me just say the numbers. So 1.5 grams per kilo. You have a 75 kilo person. That's about 120 grams, which is 4 protein scoops a day to get, if you ate nothing else, just for protein sources, 4 scoops of protein. They usually come in about 30 grams, 33 grams.
Okay.
When you buy a bag of protein powder, like 4 protein milk smoothies a day to get enough protein.
Okay, but like a steak would do that. Like if you ate a steak, that's probably enough, right?
No, like 3 steaks.
3 steaks a day?
Yeah.
How big are the steaks? Even I don't eat that much.
How big is a steak in your measurement?
Well, I make my own steaks. I don't think I've bought a steak in a long time, but I just make my own steaks.
Pick a number. How big is a steak? And I'll convert it to dry protein weight.
I don't know.
Is it like, I mean, the classic is as big as your palm. Right? It should be this big.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like camera wise, where it's hard to like different size palms, right? We could have different palms and we don't know. I would say about 3 steaks a day, the size of my palm.
When I was on keto, I was like eating that much.
Yeah. But so for protein, this is this is the recommended protein amount if you are lifting and trying to grow muscle. You need that much protein a day.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was like, whoa. And like some people even say it's higher than that. It's not 1.5, it's 2.2 grams per kilo body weight, which is like 4 a day minimum. Or like 4 a day is your protein requirement if you actually want the muscles to grow. It's also expensive. It's hella expensive after a while.
Yeah, you gotta be smart. So I I don't buy steaks, right? I buy like the thing from
Larger.
Costco. It's like a top sirloin, and then I cut it up myself.
Mm.
And so not all of it is steak. Some of it is
Of course, yeah.
is like roast, and then some of it, and then if I don't finish it, I turn it to jerky. And eat it later.
Oh, do you made your own like drying cabinet?
Sorry, you cut out for a second. I
How do you make it
dehydrated.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I just cut them into. I used to cut them into like jerky strip, like thin pieces, sticks, but that like takes so long. So I started to just do flat. So you get these like flat pieces of meat, and then you can tear it up after.
Oh,
it's like very like how Native Americans would like do their stuff with
spices and doing the meat.
Yeah. Not exactly. Like I don't do it exactly like that. It's a little more conventional. But
okay. I want to rope this back to Psychotech because this is Psychotech, right? You just mentioned the Native Americans did it like this.
Yeah.
There is something,
or like settlers or whatever. Yeah.
There is something that I'm still trying to make sense of. And this is, I find myself like, I clean my house. Like, how often do I tidy up? How often do I clean the place? And there's something like I spend a couple of minutes every day, but those minutes are me like experientially, like the clean your room phenomenon, a classic Jordan Peterson thing, right? Why does it matter? Why is it good? Well, I feel myself as I do that, I'm like psyching myself up for the other work that I'm doing, like the more intellectual, the writing, the ideas building. Like there's something about maintaining my physical environment and like doing that is a embodied practice for clearing and processing things.
Okay.
And there's a relationship I have between like, I may get home from a busy weekend and like do the washing and like wipe down the tabletop and like just do a couple of these clearing type clean your house type things. And that like sets me up for a reset of like, okay, we're going into the next phase. And then I'll like use my house for a while, it'll get a bit messy, and then I'll be like, okay, let's clean up again. Like there's something about these practices, like I make the meat and then I dry it out, and then I like I go through all of these motions personally that is experiential for like setting up success.
Okay. I think there's a lot of that. It seems like actually pretty packed. So like on one hand, I think like just like sort of maybe the crux that I'm getting from this is like it's like a maintenance. Like you're running like this maintenance subroutine where you're going through all this stuff.
It's both physical maintenance and like while I do the physical maintenance, it gives me an element of like a mental maintenance with it.
Yeah. And then your mind, I guess, is like sort of following your body in that sense, running through the things, and then that's I guess setting you up, like it's clearing the way or clearing the path or creating the background infrastructure, clearing your table, meta competency kind of thing to be able to handle the next activity.
I mean, you would probably know like going in the shower, like you're like maybe I'm going out to dinner, or I'm like going to a fancy event. What are the things I'm going to do before that? Well, I'm going to go in the shower. I'm going to put on nice clothes. I'm going to like, there's something
the shower
experiential.
I usually use to get rid of the excess stuff.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm in the shower, like I can like talk to myself or whatever, like whatever threads still are not haven't been closed yet, like I can just finish those, and then when I'm out of the shower, I'm clean.
Right.
And like I'm
like mentally clean as well as physically clean.
Yeah. Course. Yeah. Like there's not. Yeah, because like when I want to go out, I don't want to, unless it's like a specific thing, I don't want to be bringing things with me. because then I'm in the middle of a bunch of stuff, and then I'm trying to socialize, and I come across as like messy.
Right.
Yeah.
So totally. So this is what I mean, like the showering principle, but extending it to like cleaning up your desk or like washing up the coffee, whatever it is, those extra things that require doing.
Yeah, I find the kitchen actually is where I like to do it. Where if like I clean the kitchen, it like psychologically like it cleans, like I've decluttered everything. I know there's only like fresh things in the kitchen and the fridge. Like there's nothing there that's bad. It makes it like easy where like when I'm doing the next activity, need a break, I can go.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm like, keep an eye on those like tidy up. You know, in like episode 2 or 3, I talked about the dishwasher thing, right?
Yeah.
To like, I clean the dishwasher to like, yeah. Like these things, clean the car, clean the dishwasher. Like, oh, they experiential cleaning.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't think of it that like that's where I was then. Like I was like, oh, like I can do all these things, and now it's like all that stuff. It like kind of is my life in a way. Like where I'm really like most of what I'm doing is just maintaining the system, and then the system itself generates all the things that I want. It's like I've been abstracted a little bit away from stuff. Yeah, like it just occurred to me because like we were talking earlier. I just set up a thing for going out for like my kid for having snacks. So we got all these snacks here, and so when I'm out, I don't think about things. I'm just there, and then if a problem arises and I have the solution already there with me. And then at home, it's like when I get home, I'm like, oh, I have to do these like weird rituals. Like I have to put raisins in a bag, or else my life is gonna fall apart. Like not, it's not that extreme, but like I, it's like these like weird sacrifices to like these like abstracted gods, where it's like filling a Ziploc bag of raisins means I can like relax because that's gonna show up later when I'm in the park and I need a snack and I want it to be healthy and I don't want to stress and I don't know what I have and this and that. And then like I just pull out a bag of raisins because I've already done that. Yeah. It's cool because like you wind up getting these weird abstractions that you wind up doing that show up that you can't really talk about with other people except like other people in your situation.
In my experience, I do something like a bag of raisins and then it shows up later. And then the people around me they're surprised. They're like, oh, you came a level of preparedness for this beyond what I even realized was possible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And it's like seeds for other people to fruit into their own prepping the bags of raisins or whatever that really suits them.
Yeah, they're aware. Because it was interesting. I was out the other day. Oh my God, can I tell you this? I was out the other day and it was like a very uncanny valley moment where there was like these people we met up with and they had like a stroller and like I was pushing a stroller and they were pushing a stroller and I was like, oh, cool. But they were pushing, in the stroller was a rabbit, like a baby. And then so it was like it was like a very surreal moment. They had a rabbit and a lizard, and so it felt like they had like a newborn and a baby. It's just like different levels, and it was very very like, and they were like treating it like that, like it was like a stroller, and they're talking about it like a baby, and the baby's got gender pronouns and all that. The rabbit.
Sometimes it's hard to tell the gender of baby.
No, the rabbit and the lizard has like gender pronouns. I mean, like, but the whatever it was. But then we're like hanging out, and they got this like cool baby toy. It's like a little container that has like it's like kind of like this, like an opening.
Oh yeah.
And then you put your hand in and take stuff out.
And you can put that down and nothing falls out. Yep.
Yeah, you can try upside down, nothing falls out, but you can stick your hand in. So So my kid was playing with it. They had salad in it for the rabbit, and so my kid was like figuring out how to like put his hand in and take stuff out to whatever, because he likes taking things out. I don't know, babies are weird.
Mhm.
But I'm like, oh, that's like a really cool like toy. Like I should get one. So like we figured it out and ordered it on Amazon. But what am I saying the story? But oh yeah, there was like a very like parenting vibe. It was like a very like oh, we're talking about this like really mundane thing that is like a huge insight for me with this like level of preparedness that they have. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna do that for myself. And but it's like incredibly boring to everyone else. So I don't know why I said the story. I guess it's like a on purpose boring story.
I'm interested in I often do the flip thing, right? So we've just described our preparedness in the world and ways in which we're like, we think we're really cool because we have bags of raisins. But I assume that kind of everyone has some intention to be prepared in the world.
Yeah.
So the chances are, if you look at people carefully, you might just see a preparedness in them in some way that you're expecting.
Yeah, so that was an example of something that's not prepared. But I think like one of the things I think social media does is preparedness. So like whenever you're trying to like share a thing or like share vibes or share a thing that's going on, like the lizard had its own social media account. It had Instagram with all these pictures.
Okay. Yep.
And like I don't really care about lizards, so it wasn't relevant to me. But like I don't know what that means, but it's like like I think about like for job interviews and stuff. Like I think ideally you don't want a resume, you want a website, and you want that website to have like past events and things that you've done, and blog posts and essays and stuff, right? Because like you're kind of like advertising for yourself. Like that's a sort of preparedness where you're out somewhere at like something and you didn't think to bring a resume because why would you go to bring a resume to a picnic? But then you meet someone there and there's like a thing and then you make a connection and then you can share them your website.
Right.
Or like with us with the YouTube channel where I'm on Twitter and a thing comes up and I'm like, hey, that sounds like it would be awesome for Psychotech. That sounds like it would be awesome if we had a YouTube channel around Psychotech, then I could go have this opportunity.
Of course. So then you have a readiness because you're like, this is how I'm known in the world. I'm known because I have this website already.
Or I can grab that identity, right? Like, because I wouldn't say like 100% of my identity is Psychotech, but like it is a part of me and it's the thing I like to do. And so I can just grab that whenever I need it.
So now I'm like, part of me is interested in, do other people secretly have a readiness that I don't know about? Maybe they are demonstrating, maybe they're not. Like maybe they have a bag of raisins that I'm not actually noticing. Like metaphorically, like, oh yeah, on their car keys they have like an extra. Like one thing I have on my car keys, I just have a USB there, and you never know how often you're like in a place where you kind of don't have anything on you but your car keys. And I have a spare USB where someone's like, have you got a USB so I can give this to you? Like, yeah, I do. It's right there.
Okay. That's
like,
good.
Yeah. Okay. But on the car keys, because
you have a knife as well. I heard Australians carry knives around.
I do not. I have like a knife in my car in case I want to cut open an apple or something, but nothing like not on my keys. Seems antisocial. I think
because knives are one of those really useful ones. But like I don't carry it.
The other one is to have like a screwdriver key that on your bundle of keys you also
like a Letterman where it's got
not
like
even a knife. Not even a Letterman, just a screwdriver.
Okay.
It's simple. It's just like if it attaches to a key ring like a normal keys, it's a screwdriver shaped key. This is for opening other. It's not quite for opening locks. It's for opening other things.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't actually have one of those. But
I do like this website idea, because like I think this is like kind of like in a business way. Like when you're like doing business, you're trying to like pitch someone or something, right? Like you don't want to be pitching every time. You want to be doing like a very small pitch, and then like connecting to, like, here's a video explaining everything. Oh, you have all these questions, like here's an in detail document with all the answers. And so you have like resources where like you're coming up and the person's asking you a question, you're like, I knew you were going to ask me that question, here is the answer in more detail than, like, here's the answer, and like there's more information than you actually want.
Well, this is an exciting thing I've been noticing recently. Like sometimes I find myself trying to, let's go into Zen for a moment. We're diving headfirst into Zen itself. I don't know Zen enough, but Zen does these things. If you look at like the Zen koans or the Tao Te Ching, they are somehow profound, but they're not just profound on one level. They're profound on like every level, or like level after level after level. There's something about them that has both incredible simplicity and incredible complexity. They found the ways in which simplicity and complexity are aligned, and they like, that's some of the Tao Te Ching poems, like using the metaphor of a vase. A vase, like a water vessel for various, like fill up the cup, you know, if the cup is already full, you can't fill it up anymore. Very simple metaphor, has layers and layers and layers to it. So I find myself, if someone asks me a question, my answers are starting to feel like quite superficial, like this feeling like the simple sentence, and then some people are unconvinced. Sometimes people are like, what do you mean by that? Or like, how can you be so sure that the cup is full is clearly the thing? And then when I get asked, I do have the like deeper philosophy behind it. I have the like, well, let me go down 3 layers and just tell you. But I wasn't going to bother because I figured you would trust me.
Yeah.
And like, but recently, every time I've been asked, I'm like super ready with I'm like, the next answer is right here, which has me very excited that like I feel like my philosophy is quite well honed, that not only do I have the surface one, but I have like 3 layers deep of like, oh, I have it, but I wasn't going to say it because it was long and drawn out, and it felt like I had a big ego if I had to explain it. So I dropped the explanation, just told you the answer. So that's been happening recently, where I'm like, oh, I do have the layers there. I'm just, you know, silent on them because I didn't think they were that important. But anytime I'm like, I'm so ready to like drop all the layers.
Yeah. I used to drop all the layers.
Well, I used to feel like I probably had a thing like, I wish people would listen to me more. And so when they would give me a chance, I would just like explain and explain and explain. And now I'm like, no, I'm like over that much, much more. And so, but I think I obviously overcorrected into the not explaining enough. And now I'm getting people like, what do you mean? Like, okay.
But that's what you want. Like, that's a teacher, right? Like a teacher sets an environment in a way where the students feel comfortable asking questions.
Right.
And so that's what you're doing when you're doing these koans. I think some people like hack that, where they do it, but they don't know what's going on. And so they're always just kind of doing it so that they get asked questions, but they don't have any answers or wisdom or insight. But then when you can do it in a way where you answer the question in a way that feels like that generates wisdom, insight, or some sort of satisfaction, but then it also creates a thirst for more knowledge. So it's like, I got the thing I wanted, but now I want more.
There's something I'm thinking about here in terms of the best way to teach someone. And let's like fork to a different tangent. I was talking to a hypnotist, and they told me about the idea of trance and non-trance states. So with hypnotism, you kind of people are kind of zoning in and out of how much they're paying attention all the time. And one thing that hypnotism does is it looks for moments when you're zoned out, and then tries to surprise you, give you a little bit of a surprise in that moment. So you're like, you don't come back. You're just kind of a bit floaty. Does that make sense? they like try and catch you in a like low consciousness or like a zoned out state.
And then keep you in that low consciousness.
Well, they like to hypnotize you, we need to like get you more out of consciousness so that you're very suggestible, so that like
it sounds like the opposite of awakening.
Right. So I took this and I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because what I think I do when I teach people is I try and get their mind into non-trance so that they're super present, super here. And when I explain the thing, it just goes in the first time. I'm like, A, B, C, this is it. And they go,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is hypnotism like the dark side of awakening?
Well, the idea
Like the
is
dark
that you can work with the subconscious, or you can have different effect, because you don't need to you get a bit of permission from the consciousness, and then you can like convince the subconscious that it doesn't want to be smoking without the consciousness having that like battle of ego or whatever that it needs to do. So it's like, it's a complicated technique, obviously, but it's but that's kind of what I said at the time to this hypnotist person, that I try and keep people in non-trance states, because it seems like it's
what if people do that to me? How would you know if somebody does that to you?
Well, it's also been proposed, this person was like, oh yeah, Elliot, you're kind of like a hypnotist, you like hypnotize people into therapeutic containers. I'm like, do I? I didn't know I did that. So clearly this person is like, I'm doing it without even knowing it, whether I am or not. Like, I don't need to get into that argument, but they thought that I seemed to be doing it even without knowing. Like, I had great skill in helping people into therapeutic containers and then processing their stuff within it.
We should get a hypnotist on here.
Oh,
figure out what's going on.
You can contact my friend. But so the question, but we're close. The question I have is, what is the best state to be in for learning? Because clearly, like, the like awake state that I've described is the one that I use to tell people stuff. Hypnotists obviously use the trance state to sort of get things in deeper. But I'm also like, someone else came to me recently. They were like, confusion is very important, because when people are genuinely themselves confused, that is a state from which they try and get unconfused, and therefore they're self-invested in education.
Yeah.
And so there's something of it's not just clear.
Like there's a self-authorship that happens sometimes.
Right.
But it's not 100%. Some people confuse and they panic.
Right. But so there's this, I now have like torn open the question of like, what is the best state? Because confusion, like you said, not quite ideal. Conscious, useful, maybe not also ideal. Like less conscious, like trance.
It depends what you're learning, I think. Sorry, yeah. So I didn't mean to jump. Sorry.
Well, this is the like, what is the best state for learning? That's the question.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're learning and like how it is that you're learning. Because like sometimes you want like those formative moments that really impact you, but sometimes like you want to like sit and figure something out and you want to struggle with it. And those are like different, like you're learning different things.
Right. Yeah. Important point. Different skills.
Like learn this life lesson that's very simple to understand but hard to accept or live. You want like a formative state. So you want something like to trigger you that's like you're going to die one day, and then everyone's like, oh, panic, and then like that's when you're kind of like open to things.
Well, it's panic, and then there's like, wait, I got to do stuff with my life that is meaningful to me because I might die one day.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then, like you're like
commit to my goals harder, because that's the way I want to do life.
And and like
it imprints back.
Yeah. But if you're like learning calculus or something, like that's not like nobody's like learning calculus is like you don't understand it and you're trying to figure it out, right? Like that sort of thing. Like then you kind of don't want those like shock or like deep moments because you're not able to think as well.
Right. You need access to more of your cognitive mind than your like emotional mind, maybe thinking about that.
Like most of that is easy to accept. It's just hard to learn.
I realized that I have to show you. I have to show you this. I have here a book. Over here, a book. Blah blah blah. Looks like this. Title is "Turn Your Life into Art." This book is about psychomagic, which is freaking awesome because no one writes about psychomagic.
What is psychomagic?
But psychomagic is clearly psychotechnologies.
Nice.
Or it's a like subset of psychotechnology. Like, yeah, this is awesome. And not only that, it's like so title "Turn Your Life into Art." Right. I've been reading this book this week.
I feel like I get that statement. Like that's the thing I've been trying to do.
So this book is written to describe the San Francisco underground art scene that sort of cultivated Burning Man. Okay. And what the heck are they doing? But they're doing psychomagic. And in this book, he describes, he's been in the movement a while, and he's like trying to write about what exactly does he see is going. He's trying to work out what's going on and trying to write about it. And he proposes that what you're trying to do is set people up with an experience that co-opts their subconscious to engage in the experience and to possibly to be transformative.
Yeah.
So in the book, he's got a lot of stories of participatory. It's sort of like participatory art experiences.
Okay, I hear it. And then like that's what like Burning Man is attempting to do.
Well, so Burning Man has a lot of art, ritual, and what was the third one? I just read it on this chapter a moment ago, just the yesterday. Nope, clearly I should just look up the table of contents. Art, ritual, and play. He calls it the Holy Trinity of art, ritual, and play, which is very important for transformative experiences, because anything you can play with is clearly not serious enough, and you can, just play around and notice stuff, among others. Like if something's too serious, it's rigid, it's stuck, it can't change. But if you can play.
Yeah, like ritual and play are kind of almost opposites in that way.
Well, yes, but they're also the same thing in another interesting way. Right, the rituals down the like specific end and plays down the non-specific end. Yeah, but you're doing a very similar like do the thing.
But in a way, ritual is like you're dressed like ritual is very like cosplay or like cosplay. Like think about it, like when I grew up like religious, like it's we do all these rituals, like we dress up and then we do these things, and then they have like impacts and stuff.
Right. Well, that's kind of what he was saying. That there's a big overlap there worth noticing and cultivating, paying attention to. But we're trying to like invite someone's subconscious onto the journey with us.
Yeah. I guess all those you're inviting the subconscious, so like art. Also, like you can't make art without having that creative element, which is like I guess that's your subconscious sort of
right.
And rituals to invoke the subconscious, and then play is almost like the subconscious is in charge, kind of.
Well, it already was, but your subconscious already was in charge. But
whatever.
That is a novel reminder.
Yeah, it's consciously in charge. Like if you think of like play, like I think the ultimate form of play is like Calvin ball. Where it's like from Calvin Hobbes, where they have a ball and then they just make up new rules every time. And so like they'll do a thing and then just make up a rule, and then you do another thing and make up a rule. And like there's no structure to it, like, or there is a structure to it, but it's different every time. And like that's sort of like if you watch like kids, I think they tend to do that a lot. Or they kind of just make up rules.
There's this idea from integral theory let's just throw another thing in the mix here. I'm noticing I do this a lot in my life at the moment. I just throw an extra layer at reality. So integral play. Why the heck do we play? Like humans play, like small animals like dance around and prance around and play. Like what the heck is play? Even birds, sometimes the very smart birds will play. What is play and why do we do it? So the proposal is that what we do is we make rules and then we follow the rules. We say, come sit at the tea party, drink the tea at the tea party. And this is the little girls playing tea party. And we have this relationship with setting the rules and then following the rules. Like we're playing tag and then I tag you and then you run around and then like you can tag someone else. Like we make the rules and then we follow the rules, which is very much the quality of experience we have in relation to the universe, that we kind of follow the rules of physics. We don't have a choice here. But in understanding what is it, like we're playing God for a bit when we set the rules of, this is the rules of the board game. And then we try it out. And then we play God in a different way. And then we try it out. So the idea of one idea of what are we doing behind play is we are being gods, and then we are living in the world that we've created. And we are sort of learning about what it is to exist in the greater universe by playing and then changing the rules and playing again.
We're being God and living in the world that we create.
Right. So that's a weird and wild and wacky interpretation of what is play, integral play. And I don't know, most people don't really have this fairly deep interpretation of what are we doing when we play. But I wonder what would happen if more people really saw play as the magical and spiritual experience that it is, or it can be. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I think that is interesting, because you are creating an environment and then existing within that environment. But that's like the more like apps, the more like proto the beginning of play versus like basketball, where you're like there is
basketball's a well-established game. The rules have been fairly locked in place. We can make like a slight version, like a half court, because we don't have a full court, but it's kind of like known.
Yeah, but it also like it only exists because everybody like says it exists, right?
Everyone agrees on the rules in some sense.
Yeah.
At some point, I assume we wrote the rules down and put them in.
Yeah, like so when you're you as the player is already like coming in and agreeing to like
play basketball.
Yeah, like you could just punch the guy in the face and take the ball, but like you don't do that in a sense that gives you, I guess that is God, like that gives you power. Interesting.
Like working within the constraints, right? We have to like dunk the ball within certain constraints.
Yeah, like you got to do this thing and it's like important and there's like a score and it's got to be done in a very specific way. There's like the arbiter of truth and justice, the ref.
Right.
Kind of like embodies what it means to be God.
Right. So suddenly it's not just a sports game, it's like a spiritual experience.
Right. And like it does go to people's heads sometimes. Like refs, they don't always have, the character to be able to play God.
You argue with the ref, yeah.
Yeah. Or the other side, yeah. No. Those spectators. Like, God, why did you decide this?
Why, God, why? Yeah. Thing.
That is interesting.
Oh,
do you ever run into this where people are like man was not meant to be God or something? Like that line? It's like Jurassic Park. They do it.
Where do you run into it?
So we ran into it with AI. I was in a discussion group where we talked about AI.
Actually, I think we were meant to be good.
Yeah.
Like the number of times we've had massive scientific revolutions, I think we are meant to take our place amongst the gods.
Yeah. Or whatever. The gods are created the world for us. Like it's Prometheus
version,
fire from the sky, right? Like,
well, it's also like we have children. Like we cultivate the world for our offspring.
Yeah.
Like, or like as much as kings are gods as well, you know, especially in a lot of like mythologies or like cultures, the like royalty try and almost take their place amongst the gods.
Yeah. But I feel like that's like a little bit of an Icarus situation.
Well, when I think of Egypt, so the pharaoh.
Yeah, I was thinking Egypt.
So I think of Egypt because the pharaohs would probably live longer. Like the average life expectancy was probably like 40, 20, something like quite young. And if you're the pharaoh and you are well taken care of and your health is managed and you live quite a life of luxury, you might live to 60, 70, 80.
Yeah, you could live a lot longer. Like you're almost like out of living memory in a way.
Right. You've outlived everyone by a generation. You're claiming that you're going to keep on living. Like, yeah, damn right, you look like a god. You don't seem to pass away.
Especially you have the power of life and death. You can create these huge monuments.
You have massive wealth. Yeah, absolutely. So in contrast to your average slave who's maybe dying at the age of 25 or 30, like you've lived till 60, you've outlived their lifetime twice. Like if they didn't have kids and then those kids have kids.
I think about that a lot because like I'm getting older. Like I exist now in a world, like I remember a world that a lot of people don't like never experienced.
Like pre-technology.
Not that I'm not old.
Yeah, but even like before,
or even like culture war stuff, like is like a big example where like Shifty 5, right? Like that would for sure be offensive today for some reason. Like I don't know what the reason is, but it would be offensive.
There was like permission to have a naive humor back then or something.
Yeah, like you could act like an idiot and people wouldn't think you're evil. Like they wouldn't necessarily get it, but you know, like I think there is. Like I remember that world, and like in a way, like I hang out with like 20-year-olds and like.
You have like no idea what it was like. You have no idea what I've been through.
Yeah.
I nearly died 1,000 times just walking to school in the mornings.
No, it wasn't that. It was like, yeah, I could say things and people weren't offended. Which is like also like a superpower nowadays if you can do that. Yeah, because like you kind of are a god in a way nowadays. Like if you can come up and
wait. I gotta ask this question though. Like, how often are you in a room where you say things and someone is like actively offended and the whole thing comes to a screeching halt and puts you under the spotlight and says like, Daniel, what have you done? Too often?
Too often. Oh my god, I got beamed out. The guy like lost the shit on me because I was empathizing with conservatives.
Wait, because that never happens to me, like ever. I like facilitate groups and I talk to people and I like never, like nearly never.
Yeah, no, that.
So how's that?
It's because I'm not in control of the phrase.
It happen like once a week, twice a week to you? Like what? I'm like,
yeah,
it would probably happen less than once for me.
Like it happened. It happened last week. But then I saw the guy today, or yesterday, but we didn't talk really. I'm getting much better at playing at playing it.
So I'm just like remarkably confused because either there's something you're doing, there's something that your culture is doing, or there's something that I'm doing or my culture is doing where I'm not getting yelled at for saying stuff.
dude.
Maybe I'm out of touch. I'm willing to fully admit I'm completely out of touch and I have no idea what's going on, but I just have no experience of.
That's what I mean. Like you're like in a way you're a god.
You describe a bit,
and people aren't. It wasn't even like it was so like weak. Even
maybe like, am I out of touch? Like, am I not contentious enough, and I should try to be more contentious?
I don't know. We could probably try to break this down if you want. Like for me, it was like I was just like, hey, like Republicans are also the hero of their own stories, and like they think what they're doing is good for the world, and like they have a way of seeing things, and you know, they're not terrible people. They're not all terrible people.
I mean, suggesting not to dehumanize other people doesn't seem that radical to me.
Oh my god, it was like I lost the shit on me. Like, oh, you support banning abortions and like, women's bodies. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I would be so excited if someone did that to me. I'd like to like draw out clearly there's pain in this person's stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the person. I'm 2 degrees away from like hearing about it. Like I would love to like illuminate the thing, whatever it is.
The problem is I don't control the frame. So I'm not like this thing, and like the guy who makes the thing has like a very strong frame, like very sort of strong ideology, which is like anti-ideologies and all this stuff. And so like already like I'm like kind of set on the back foot, and then there's the people there and they're gonna like it's like a social thing, right? Like this stuff is a social thing anymore. Like it's not even like an intellectual or philosophical. Or like a pragmatic.
Well, we've shifted into a more fighting things on a relational level rather than on an intellectual level. Like
yeah, because it's really not like I don't think I rarely get beat up for like intellectual, like I don't have intellectual like, or like at least like you know, if you let me talk for 2 minutes, then it's not going to be like intellectually like evil. But like socially, like you say the wrong thing or whatever, then it's like
I think maybe one of the things I'm doing is I'm paying attention to where the suffering is, or who's like, even it's hard for me to like where is my suffering? Where is the other person suffering? Where is the suffering of the third party that we talk about, like the Republican? Like they also have a piece of suffering too. Like, and as I pay
that's what I'm trying to bring in. I'm trying to bring in their suffering. I do think that they do things that the other side doesn't do, and that we kind of need to listen to both sides.
Well, as I pay attention to the various types of suffering, I realize that everyone's got suffering, and that's a reason for extra compassion and extra care and patience and all the rest. And that like it's very transformative to keep paying attention to suffering. As much as I can, obviously, important caveat of like, as much as I have the capacity to handle, to like keep paying attention to the suffering.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was trying to, because like I was trying to get into the guys like to like resonate with him, and we did resonate in a way, but then it started asking, like I said a thing, and then it kind of like I think I just fit into his like Republicans are evil and my side is good, their side is bad, and you have to pick a side. And I'm like, I don't want to pick a side. Like my side is that this is a dumb system that creates bad. Like
my side is we don't pick sides.
Yeah, like
your side is we pick sides, and my side is we don't pick sides. So it's better, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, you don't pick sides, therefore you must. But that's the thing. Like, therefore you must like hate abortion under all circumstances, and women are second-class citizens and should just be there. It's like, well,
changing sides to a side that does pick a side rather than a side that doesn't pick a side.
What?
You should try changing sides from the side that doesn't pick a side to a side that does pick a side. Maybe then.
But I'm not picking this side.
Oh well, like maybe, I don't know. But if you weren't so
he was saying some
your
crazy stuff.
Side of not picking a side, then maybe you could pick a side, and then maybe you could get along with it better.
Well, I did try to pick a side. I'm like, oh, human beings are trying to do the best they can, and you know, like, which is apparently the wrong side.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! What have we done?
And then he kept saying these stories, like there was this woman that had couldn't get an abortion and she had to cross straight lines. I'm like, I don't really care about any of this. Like, I don't know why you're doing this to me. You don't care about women. Like, but I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be cultural. Like, the only correct move is to not play. That's the thing. Like, this culture war is going to burn itself out. I just don't want to be.
The only correct move is to reference the 90s.
Yeah.
Back when it was good, back then in the 90s.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie, but like I still know the reference.
I know. Right? Yeah, it's a great reference.
That movie was before my time, but it was a meme at my time. So I know the meme, not the
movie. I mean, I like. To throw another idea in here, we've got psyche as a stack. Another one that I would like to spread into popular culture is that black and white thinking comes online in our psyches between about the ages of 3 and 5. You know, it's around about the time when the kid learns what the word no is, where you're like, do you want to go to the park? And they're like, no. And they're like, I have my new powerful word, and it's the word no, and I get to say no to things. You're like, do you want to put on your jacket? They're like, no. You're like, can you put on your shoes? They're like, no. And you're like, do you want ice cream? They're like, no. Wait, yes. It's a kid moment. And it's the differentiation of good from bad. Before that time, there wasn't really a bad. There was only, everything was just kind of good and glowing, and there's either this good thing or the other good thing that I got distracted by. We don't have psychological integration. We just have like good stuff all over the place. But from that point forward, so then we go from like non-good bad to like good bad, like clearly, and then we go to like shades of gray. Like we grow into shades of gray. Like it's actually kind of more complicated. Some things are a bit good and a bit bad at the same time, or a little bit good and there are better things. But because of that, there's like a philosophical mistake of not reining in your black and white thinking mind and not like being aware of it and mediating it. And so this is an idea of like where like get to know your black and white thinking and get a better understanding of it so that you can reason through it, reason past it, and get to a better epistemic place. Like for instance, I could say that the person you were in an argument with had like done the good and bad thinking and decided you were the bad one, and then was like in the like I am the good righteous one and you are the bad one, and therefore that's probably not the case. It's probably way more complicated.
Like spiraled into that. Yeah.
If we look really close if we asked him what was going on, if we like went freeze, take the guy out and like say what's going on, we might have said something different, but through a certain lens, that's kind of what it looks like is going on. So if we can help society to process their black and white thinking, we can overall get to a better place.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. The thing is that I find is hard is doing that in like a regular setting. Because like when I set up the stuff, like if I'm able to set the frame, be like, hey, these are the things we're doing. This is the discussion. This is what we're doing. Then like, people are willing to abandon their points in order to have like a good discussion or to learn or to grow. But like, if it's like somewhat like other people create like these frames, and then where there's like good and bad, and then it's like you just get like it's like I don't know, you like kind of forget that you're having a discussion, and you're just there. You're just there, and the other person is doing the evil thing, and you're good, and now you have the chance to like hurt them.
I would say there's still good.
Just eating sushi, like what the fuck? Like
there is still a like good and bad. It's just, or maybe there's not, because good and bad is the sort of individual perspective. Like there's like things I like and things I don't like, and then if I universalize that, I get to good and bad. But we don't necessarily universally agree on what is good and bad. We only have the subjective sense of like the things I find good and things I find bad. And so there's like that's the
another thing. They do like this whole like there's some fucking bullshit. Like they do the whole like reality is subjective.
No, I've triggered him.
Yeah, dude, man, this because it's like still sticking with me. It's like they do the reality is subjective, and then if you say a thing, if you're like, oh, I have a subjective feeling, like it's like they'll lose their shit, and now you're like evil. Like there's no coherent philosophy.
What's going on for you? Where have you gone? Like what's going on?
I've gone back there. I'm back with the guy yelling at me.
Like what's going on in your body?
I don't know.
Like we sort of triggered. I mean, you're calming down now because you're good at calming down. What was going on? Like, what was that? The like thing?
That was like me like trying to get a word in edgewise. The conversation that happened in the past. I think.
Like, yeah, what was going on in your body that you felt the need to like suddenly your voice got? I don't mind your voice getting louder, but suddenly it got louder, and you were like passionate about the thing. Like,
yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I feel trapped sometimes. Like I was having like these images of like getting trapped, like whereas like kind of like social maneuvering, and now I'm stuck in this position that I don't want to be in, and like now I have to take the stance that I don't want to take, and like being seen a certain way, and I'm like I don't want to do this. I don't want to say these words. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this, and then like, but you believe this thing, and now you believe, and like also now I have to like kind of defend myself, but every time I like defend myself, it's like being used like it's like, oh well, if you believe that, you must believe this other thing. I don't know.
Okay, so wait, slow down. Let's throw another technique in the mix. Like we have a phenomenon that's come up.
I don't know what's going on.
We have this phenomenon that's come up, and we'd like to get to know it. So one thing we need to do is kind of like slow down and see the motion like in slow motion, and that might help us like see it. Like we need to like go frame by frame on the video sort of thing.
Yeah.
We need to go like, why is Daniel's internal experience suddenly angry and passionate?
Yeah. Am I angry?
Or like, you know, voice went louder. You're like, I want to say the damn thing. Like, I want to assert myself on the argument I'm having. Like, classic, something like not in a bad anger, but
yeah, there is some, yeah.
So
there is some anger there because it's very like I feel misunderstood, and then people treat me a certain way, and I'm like, that's not me. You're just not understanding what I'm trying to say, and it feels like you're doing it on purpose. Like I feel like I'm being scapegoated.
Right. So I would be like anger. Usually, when anger arises, to like assertive, defensive strategy. Like I need to push back on the world, keep myself safe. Right. What is the anger protecting? What is usually anger arises to protect? It says, "Get away from me." Like I need to protect myself. What are you guarding inside
like my philosophical stance, my image,
well, I don't know.
My beliefs.
Is it like your innocence or something? Your permission to explore philosophical frames? I don't know. Like, what is it?
Yeah, like my innocence, the truth, my love of truth. I don't know.
Well, what is it? Like, spend a moment trying to get to know what is the thing you are defending.
Like it feels like I'm defending myself, but I guess it's not. I don't know what part of myself.
What does it feel like? Like, where do you feel it in the body? Is it like heavy, light, dark, rough, tense, soft? I don't know.
It doesn't feel visceral.
Okay. What does it feel like?
It feels like intellectual.
Can you?
It's like my ability to think almost.
So, where do you feel it in the body? Like, is it in the body or is it like behind the head, above the head?
It's like in the mind.
Is it up
or like out there?
Oh, it's in front of you, behind you.
It's in front of me. It's like the future.
Ah, okay. I'm
It feels like
defending.
I'm like defending the ability to like think out loud or something.
Hmm.
Because like if I say a thing and then it's going to be misconstrued, like now I can't say stuff, and now I can't speak.
Hmm. Right. That's your permission to be able to like make mistakes or something occasionally, even it will like be right in the future and
It's not even mistakes.
find
Like I
out
don't feel like I'm
after.
making
Right,
mistakes.
right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't think you're making mistakes because you're just trying to try it out. Whether you might be right.
No. Even like the viewpoints. Like I feel like it's just like sort of very basic viewpoints that I'm saying in like a decently articulate manner, and like it wouldn't be hard for anyone that is good faith to understand, but it would be impossible for someone that's bad faith to understand.
Mm. So I'm interested in the like.
Yeah, it's like okay. So when I think, I often do like I kind of go a little. What's it called? It's like a little bit of like I leave my body and I move into the intellectual space,
Okay.
right? So like I'm not here having a discussion. I'm inside the philosophical framework, trying to see what I can see and think about what's going on. And like when I get attacked, like I can't be there. And then they're attacking me in ways that are like, well, then what do you think about this? Oh, you must think this. And it's like, I feel like I have to like kind of come up with like a philosophical retort, but like it's hard to do that while this guy's attacking me, because like it's like managing the social scene and the intellectual scene at the same time. And I can do that if people are calm and good faith, but it's like when it's attacking, it's harder. Plus, like I was like relaxed, like I wasn't expecting a thing.
An attack.
Yeah, like if we were on, like if it was now, like I'm much more, or maybe not you, but
now we're like sparring. We're going back and forth. We're like,
yeah,
be like, well, what
like
about this, Daniel? And you'd be like, well, I think this.
Yeah, like if we had Pierce Morgan on, I would expect to get attacked. So I'm like kind of ready for that. But if we're having, like, yeah, we're just like at a restaurant, sushi, like, you know, talking a little bit about politics, which I guess I should have known, but still, like, I feel like it's not like I wasn't.
Mistakes were made, but not by me.
Yeah, I was like, look, the government sucks at what they're doing. Like, I think they're terrible. And like apparently that's a radical opinion now. At least from this guy's perspective.
Interesting.
Which I get like in retrospect. Like, okay, so like he thinks like the savior. He thinks the saving of like the human race is gonna come from the government, and that's the only way it possibly could come.
All right. Seems like a reasonable proposition. If I believe that, then how would I act?
Yeah, like it's reasonable unless you think about
it. Well, as in like, if I could hold that as the core belief, I could probably theorize a bunch of other things following that. If I didn't agree with that as a core belief, then it's probably going to be hard to get along with whoever this person was.
Yeah, like if you had an hour discussion about it, it would be like, oh, maybe this isn't the best idea. Like maybe there are other ways of organizing people that don't use force, or that aren't.
Okay, we're steering into some territory that I think is very interesting. I like to think about like what is the fundamental suffering underneath the philosophy, the ideology. Like often there is like take something undisputable, something like Marie Kondo's way of keeping your life tidy, right? There was some fundamental suffering underneath the need to keep your life tidy. Well, it was like my life was a bombshell. It was a mess. It was a wreck. And I Marie Kondo invented her method because her life was probably a bombshell in some way, and she went, I can popularize this method and share my idea through the spectrum.
This is like the precursor to Jordan Peterson.
Well, a different path, right? She went through the 9 stages of common public knowledge, and now I'm like some random on the internet who's never seen any of her videos, who just knows Marie Kondo, right? So, but there was a fundamental suffering underneath the need to develop and shift the world to the philosophy. Right. So what is the fundamental suffering?
What's the problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, and I use the word fundamental suffering because the problem you're trying to solve is more real on the how do you feel? What is the problem? The personal version of the problem you're trying to solve. So even climate change, I'm scared about the planet. I want to solve I'm scared that we won't have a planet on a personal level.
Right, but that's not the fundamental suffering. Fundamental suffering is
well, it's my fear.
I'm scared. And
my fundamental suffering is my fear. I think that the planet's going to be destroyed, and so I have a fear that is my fundamental suffering. Or maybe I have a I don't have.
I feel like I don't have control of the world or world.
Right, maybe, or conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists, the government is out of control and doing things, or the various higher powers like corporations, conspiracies.
I mean,
governments, pharmaceuticals have too much control, and they control society too, and they're making the world a bad place. The same goes for rationality. What is the core? And for this person you were talking to, what is the core fundamental suffering underneath the only the government can solve our problems, or we have to trust? Was he?
Yeah, it's
make up a story. Was his siblings didn't listen to his parents, and his parents were protecting him, and his parents didn't seem to have the strength because his siblings were too rough or mean or whatever. And if only his siblings had followed his parents, then the government would have been doing the right thing for everyone and making the world a better place all around.
Yeah.
Is that this guy's fundamental suffering? I don't know. I don't really know. But is that the sort of thing that can motivate someone to say everyone should listen to the government more? Which I don't think he was quite saying, but
no, he was pretty hard advocating for it. He was pretty hard advocating.
Everyone should listen to the government is kind of more like dictatorship-y.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the way he would do it is everyone should listen to the government so that we don't get a dictator.
Right.
Which makes
I happen to think that democracy isn't really as good at getting everyone what they want as we seem to think it can be.
No, democracy is good at preventing bad things, which is its job.
It prevents worse government systems, but it doesn't it's not everyone is feeling incredibly fulfilled by our governmental system. Everyone is complaining about it constantly.
Yeah, no, I don't.
We got a problem here.
I think people would stop complaining with the government if they realize that that's not their job. The government's job isn't to make things good; it's to prevent really bad things, or
keep the sewage going
and dictatorships. That's its job. And if the government is doing that job, then they're doing it correctly.
Right, but they're not really there for innovative, transformative, wonderful personal experience for all of its citizens, because that's kind of that's a very high bar.
That's our job as citizens.
As in our job? Oh, I'm like, Daniel, what responsibility are you giving me? We're not responsible, but the citizens' job to participate and make sure they're having a good time in the shape of society available to them.
Yeah, and to shape, to build the things and to shape the society in the way that's going to be beneficial for all. Which is what I think we're doing as Psychotech. Or that's Metamodernism, right?
Say more.
Right. So our job, I really think we're in a very much post-government era, where the government doesn't have as much power as it has historically, and also people individual non-governmental entities have a shitload of power, and that means that what happens is a lot of the times the governments are locked into these equilibrium, Nash equilibriums almost, where they can't really do things. Like they're kind of checked by everyone. And it's the people that are able to actually make moves are the free citizens. Like a lot of politicians, they really can't do a whole lot. But we as citizens can. Like I think Elon Musk is like a really good example of this on the technological side, where he's like, okay, like let's solve going to the moon, let's solve electric cars, let's solve PayPal, whatever, right? Like payment transferring, right? Like he decided to do those things, and he did those things. And he really did build. He really is building the world in the way that he thinks is the way that it should go. And I think the meta modern flag, game B, whatever, like a bunch of those things are like these shelling points of people being like, hey, let's collaborate and make this new world. I think a lot of people there think that they need the government, and you do need some interaction with the government, but it's not the government's not the one going to be able to actually do any of these things. They don't have that competency. They're not designed. That's not what they're designed for. It's like the free people and, you know, getting together and actually doing the things is what's going to get the things done. And I think there are excuses and there are reasons why you can't do things. You know, fair enough. And also, that doesn't mean that the government.
So let's work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, let's do it.